Hey, namaste everyone, Ram here. I'm back for another video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It helps us with the generating more content. Give the thumbs up, comment, let us know what you like or don't like. What was your biggest impression? And if you have any questions, I'm always happy to address them, whether it's on the comment below, replying to your question, or actually doing a video. So if you want some specialized content tailor-made for you, then let me know. Of course, I'm always willing to get on the phone with you, and below there's a link where you can actually get on a free coaching call. Of course, hit the notification bell, and that way you know when we upload content. If you are new to the channel, then you shouldn't be watching this video because this is part 4. You're really skipping ahead. You want to go back to the Ayurveda videos, and in those Ayurveda videos, there's Ayurveda Basics, and then Ayurveda Parts 1, 2, 3, of Ayurveda for Stress Eradication, and that's where you want to go first, okay? So in previous videos, I discussed this 12-hour cycle. I'm not going to go into that much detail today. I'm just going to use them as a guide as I explain the routine. So like I mentioned in the previous video today, I'm going to start giving you some tips. How I would go about setting up my daily routine so that I can more closely mimic this 12-hour cycle, so that I can more closely mimic these natural cycles that I am right now out of sync with, that contribute to my state of imbalance, to my state of stress, disease, etc. So if you want to master the art of living stress and disease-free, highly recommend that you go about following what I'm going to describe shortly, okay? So remember again that there is an ideal time that I recommend that you wake up, and I'll reference this time again shortly when I go into your practice that you should be doing when you wake up, which should be done ideally between 4 and 6 a.m. And you may be saying right now, heck no, I'm not going to wake up at 4 a.m. Is this guy crazy? Work towards it slowly. Let's say that you wake up at 6. And maybe you wake up at 6 and you wake up at 6 because you want to put in some time for exercise, let's say an hour before you go to work, before you shower, eat something, and rush out to work. Well, why not start to devote more time to yourself and wake up a little earlier? I am telling you, if you do what I described in my Mastery series, go to my Mastery series of videos where I describe how to establish an early morning meditation practice, and I explain how you can go about beginning to wake up at this time and some exercises you can do. So highly suggest that you try this and work towards back in time. When I said I was going to do this, I literally did the following. It was nighttime. When I went to lie down, I said, I commanded. I didn't say it with hesitation. At 4 a.m., I am waking up. There is nothing that's going to stop me. At 4 a.m., I will wake up. I didn't put an alarm. I went to bed. I opened my eyes, and it was, when I looked at my clock, literally exactly 4 a.m. I am not lying. This is truth, true story. It was 4 a.m. I did not go, oh my God, I'll start tomorrow, roll to the side, go back to bed. No, I got up and I did exactly what I said I was going to do. And from that point on, I did that consistently every day. You can ask my wife. Okay, so this was, I started this, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, something like that particular routine. Okay, so there's an ideal time to wake up. So what should you do when you wake up at 4 a.m. or whatever you wake up? You're going to try to work towards making it ideal, because right here, your preferred time windows for sleeping are between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. That gives you 6 hours, which is plenty. A lot of people say, oh, you need 8 hours, all this stuff. You don't need that time. It is about quality, not quantity. So within the 10 to 4 a.m. time window, there's plenty of time for you to get quality of sleep. And if you do that routine that I described between 4 and 6 a.m., and then you follow it up with what's described here, and a lot of the other stuff I teach in my events and programs, some of which is on this channel, absolutely free. If you haven't watched it, you're missing out. Content that people pay thousands of dollars to access. then if you do all those things, I promise you, you will not yawn a single time. I don't know what that is. And so you can also know it as well. You can know what it is not to yawn, not how to feel like your energy is peaking and you feel powerful all the time. It is doable, but if you don't start doing the steps, then it's never going to happen. Okay? So let's begin with the daily routine for stress. Okay? For stress relief. Because what I want you to do is I want you to master this so that you become stress-free. There is a way to do this, and it's not just about what's here. There's a lot of other things involved that I teach in my programs. You can get a great resource in the art of stress-free living. You can get a free signed copy of the book below, signed personally by me and mailed to you absolutely free. Okay? All right, so let's begin. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're being consistent and disciplined with what I'm going to describe now in terms of the daily routine for stress relief. I just had to do a quick edit there because it started to rain. Okay, so ideally you want to wake up at 4 a.m. or as early as possible. The reason being that if you wake up earlier, then there's more time for you. Let's say you have kids, you got to get them ready for school. Well, if you wake up an hour earlier than you normally would, then that's an hour for you. There's an hour where there's no obstacles in the way. Just say if like, you may say, oh, but I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. I'd rather do it in the afternoon. What's going to happen in the afternoon? You don't know. Something could happen in the afternoon, then there's an excuse, and then all of a sudden you don't do anything. So make sure that you are very consistent and disciplined. You say, I matter, I come first, and I come first because others come first. Because I want to be the best version of myself for my loved ones so that my relationships can thrive. So another thing is that this will equal increased balance. I mentioned this before. It's not, you're going to notice that if you start to do this and you start to be more in sync with this 12-hour cycle that I've described in previous videos, your balance is going to increase, your harmony, your sense of peace, your energy, your stress resistance. And remember that greater relaxation has so many benefits, one of which I'll describe shortly that you're probably not aware of. One that I've mentioned before is increased creativity. If I'm stressed out, if I'm worn out, I'm not going to be as productive and creative as I could be in my work or in whatever endeavor that I want to do in life. So after I wake up, one of the first things, obviously you probably go to the bathroom, you want to go get a nice big glass of water. You know, get a nice glass of water, drink it, maybe 16 ounces of water, whatever you can handle. As much as you drink, the better, because it's going to go in and it's really going to cause a distension and expansion of the stomach, which is going to trigger a reflex that helps for elimination. A reflex that goes from the stomach to the colon, which is going to start moving what's here to the rectum, and eventually it's going to want you to go to the bathroom, which is what you would want. You would want to eliminate that as soon as possible, particularly when you do the practices that you start to develop a morning practice of breathing, of meditation, etc. It's good to have actually just kind of cleanse yourself in that way. You should be regular in that fashion, very predictable. If you're not, if you're a little bit erratic, it likely has to do with your diet. It has to do with your nerves, your stress levels, a number of different factors that you have to get in order. And of course, I can't tell you specifically in your case. We would have to get on a call and I then can assess a bit more clearly. All right, so wash your face. You want to wash your face with cold water to really kind of stimulate some circulation, get you to be a little bit more alert. Brush your teeth, scrape your tongue, which also stimulates some of these digestive processes as well. And begin with the routine that I've described in previous videos, which I'm not going to illustrate here. There's certain breathing exercises, certain asana exercises, certain meditation that I mentioned, a couple of easy examples that you can start using to help start training your concentration. You're really not going to be meditating anytime soon. What you're doing is really training of concentration. It is really a moment for you to learn to devote your energies to the present, to you right now, in the here and now, and not what we often do, which is to have our energies diffuse somewhere into the future or somewhere in the past, into the subconscious realm, and we are really not devoting a lot of that energy into the now, into the conscious moment, where we can actually start to implement and put into practice a lot of things that will benefit us, and will benefit our business, and will benefit others, whatever it is that you're doing. But I get into a little bit more detail about that in the Mastery series of videos. I suggest you check them out. And once you're done with this practice, of course, the earlier you wake up, the longer you can do this practice, the longer you can do an asana for, to kind of start to warm up your body, get you into a more alert, aroused state, where your neurochemistry, your hormonal system is going to be more like it would be if it were noon rather than, or 4 p.m. rather than 4 a.m. Because the difference between here, the nervous system is strong, and the nervous system over here is that here you're having to contend with years of habits that have made you during this period be very stagnant and lethargic and be very tired and sluggish. Over here, you're used to being up, so when your nervous system is active, it's much easier to do the practice. I do enjoy doing an afternoon meditation during this time if I can fit it in. All right, so the earlier you wake up, the longer you can do this practice for. If you know you only have 30 minutes or an hour, then you have to adjust and do your asana for a bit shorter, your breathing for a bit shorter. Make sure you fit in enough time for all the things that I discuss in that Mastery series of videos. You want to go and check that out on the DNA Hackers channel, DNA Hacker Secrets. Then at 6 a.m., if you have time, and I suggest you try to fit this in, and remember, I suggest you try to do this at least 3 times per week. If you could do it every day, amazing. 5 times a week, great. 3, solid. 1 or 2, well, you're a beginner, you're still trying. It's good, but try to get to a point where at least 3 times a week you're trying to do this. You do this, and you're honest, and you become very disciplined and consistent. So another thing is, if you have time, then go out for a walk, exercise, whatever is your exercise form that doesn't involve going too far away, too time consuming, something you can do local. Even if you have a dog, take them out for a walk, let's say, and do a nice vigorous walk for 10 to 30 minutes and practice what's known as Ujjayi breath, this deep breathing. So in this case, what we want is to inhale through the nose. And I mentioned that here, that the brain responds better when you inhale through the nose. This is a tip that you would actually use whenever you're exercising. Whether you're running a marathon, whether you're on the treadmill, you're playing tennis, whatever it may be, you want to inhale deeply through the nose. And then you want to exhale like you're making the sounds of maybe the ocean or something of that sort. You're constricting around the throat and making your exhale longer. Inhale. And then exhale. And if you need to breathe a little faster, you push it. You use your intercostals to get that air out. You force the air out. So that's Ujjayi breathing, deep Ujjayi breathing. The more you can do this, of course, is bringing a little bit of element of control. You're not just running, let's say, or walking vigorously, whatever exercise you're doing, and you're breathing mindlessly. You're bringing some control to the nervous system, bringing some control to that breath, which is actually going to help induce a calming effect. And of course, this calming effect is important. And this is something I mentioned earlier, that it was going to be something that I'm sure it's something you're not aware of. You may be, but I don't think you are. Is that it's going to help to relax you while you're exercising. I mentioned that. And why is that important? Because studies have shown that tension or stress can decrease the amount of calories burned. So if I'm already stressed out, I'm tense, I'm wound up, I go work out, I'm not going to be as effective in that workout and burn as many calories, if that's what I'm interested in doing, as I would be if I'm relaxed and calm and I'm really enjoying myself, and I can enjoy the exercise more if I'm in a relaxed state. In addition, detox can also be increased. If I'm in a stressed, whether it's oxidative, physical, cellular stress, or psychological, I'm tense, I'm not going to detox as effectively, of course. I've talked about in previous videos. Find my video on the relationship between stress and insomnia and Alzheimer's, and you're going to see, of course, that stress will deplete your energies, make it very difficult for you to relax during the 6 to 10 p.m. window, and therefore those people then struggle with falling asleep. If they do fall asleep, they wake up soon thereafter, and they're having a hard time falling asleep. This is very common in stress-related, anxiety-related disorders, which are the top mental health issue right now in Western civilization and advanced civilization we have now, where we have this go, 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 do, do, do mentality. So consider that. The way you breathe matters. Try this deep Ujjayi breathing. Okay, so after you've done that, whether you fit in the exercise or not, or maybe the exercise you did during your morning practice here maybe was your former exercise because you just didn't have time, that's fine. You do what you can, but as much as you can, try to wake up early so that you can do this 3 times a week. Then you can shower, especially if you've gotten sweat. I typically like to shower in the evening, and when I used to do this practice here, I would not then do exercise. But I suggest you try to do that at least initially, and then shower before you go to work. And then after you shower, whenever it is that you shower, if you are doing the exercise and you're sweating, and if obviously you want to shower before work, then whenever you shower, follow that up. And I talked about this. Find my skin. I do a guide for having for skin health, and it's an excellent 2-part series of videos where I talk about skin and hair health. And in those, I discuss a number of things I'm going to talk about here, including how to reverse gravity to have gravity be in your favor, so your skin looks more useful even as you get into your 40s. Once you're in your 40s like I am, and then you're to your 50s and beyond, you can look younger. And I give a lot of tips into that, so you want to go on my channel and look for those. Those were some months ago. It was this year though. Obviously I started this venture this year, so it would be this year. And so you want to also do some oil massage. I typically like to use lotion, whether you're a guy or a gal, and especially if it's in the winter time. When it's dry weather, if you live in Arizona, let's say, where it's dry weather, you have to, it's a must. Your skin is like leather. So if you don't take care of it, it's going to start to look more damaged and worn out. So after I do like general natural lotion, and you want to make sure it doesn't have mineral oil, and I talk about that in one of those videos, is to oil massage. And there's different types of oils that you can use depending on your body type. And we talked about the doshas already, so I'm not going to go into details about that. If you don't know your dosha, you can try to figure it out online. There's a few little programs. I don't know how effective they are, but if you want, we can get a coaching call and see how I can help you figure that out. If you're Vata, you preferably want to use flaxseed oil. If your Pitta is starting to rain, you want almond oil. And there's other ones, but that's not the top one. Kapha would be something like avocado or coconut oil. And then of course I mentioned this in that skin video, and I'm going to try to finish before this rain starts to really pour, is you want to use movements against gravity. I want to be careful with the shoulder. I took the strap off. I'm already beyond the 3-week window of resting. I'm still resting it, but careful moving it. You want to use upward movements when you're using this. Well, if you're new to the channel, I mentioned the shoulder thing because I had surgery recently. and it was 3 weeks removed from having soldier surgery from a fall I had in January at a restaurant. Okay, so then after you've done that, and again, you can see how all this is designed to care, love, honor, and respect yourself. It's important. And have a healthy breakfast. We talked about what this breakfast should be. You want this breakfast to be at least 50% whole, raw, natural, plant-based foods, free of preservatives. You want to eat them as nature offers them to you. And so, for example, if you're living in Denver, Colorado, and it's the winter time, then have something warm to counteract the cold climate that you're in. If you're a Vata type, then you want to have something warm, but always pair that with some fresh fruit. Make sure to take the fruit out of the refrigerator if it's cold. Avoid, if it's the winter time, frozen fruit. You want it fresh, try to take it out to get it to be more room temperature. You could do that when you wake up. Set it aside. Have some oatmeal, some nice warm oatmeal, let's say, with some fresh fruit, some vegan milk, let's say, some almond milk or something of that sort. And anything else that you may like. If you are not vegan, you want to have some maybe hard-boiled eggs or something of that sort, or some toast. But I obviously make my own recommendations to my clients. I try to make them to strive to be as close to vegan as possible if you can, or at the bare minimum vegetarian, because of many reasons that I go into in other works that I've done before. So have a healthy breakfast is the point. And that healthy breakfast is something that you want to really research. And I've done a lot to try to help you do this. If you follow me on medium.com, you can check it out below at Rama's Rooted Tree. And of course in this channel. And in my works and my books. And I have an upcoming book where I'll go into details on how you become a stress and disease-free superhuman. It's called The Hacker Secrets, just like this channel. I'll start that next month. And remember, once you have breakfast, no food. I talked about this in the previous video. No food until the Pitta period, a time of the day when your digestive system is at its peak. This is when you should consume 60% of your calories. It's not always possible, but do your best. I gave a suggestion in the previous video on how you could maximize your caloric intake without having that one huge big meal that then may kind of have you feeling heavy. But if you eat the right foods, you won't feel heavy. Oftentimes people feel sluggish because they're eating the wrong foods, toxic, heavy, dense foods like meats and stuff like that. And then have lunch. And in the next video, I will go into more details about mindful eating, how you can relax and enjoy the food, and certain things I suggest you do. And I'll do that in the final video, part 5. And so you have lunch, you enjoy that meal. I suggest that if you have an hour for lunch at work, eat your food in the first 30 minutes. Oftentimes I like to do a little bit of breathing to get myself kind of refocused, and also do a little bit of breathing. I talk about this in a video on how to sustain balance throughout the work week. And a little nice breathing exercise also maybe during the break period, like around 10 a.m. Then right before I eat, I like to do a little breathing for at least 5 minutes. Then I sit down and I calmly, that leaves me in a more calm, centered state. I then sit down and I eat. I'll practice mindful eating. I've already done some videos on mindful eating, but I'll add some additional content in the next video that you'll want to stay tuned for, where I add some really excellent content there. And so you want to work at be in a good state of mind and enjoy your food. Take time. Then finish and allow yourself for, try to finish within the 30 minutes. I mean, don't rush your food, but give yourself at least 15 to 30 minutes where you can then sit down and just relax. Maybe take your food to your car, let's say, or somewhere quiet, eat calmly, and then go sit down, lie on a bench, or if you can in your office, and just close your eyes and try to let that settle and let the digestive process settle for a little before you go back and engage in work. Avoid as much as you can some of the things that I'm going to mention in the next video. So no food after lunch until supper. So if you did not fit in your exercise, during the morning period, then try to fit in your exercise then, and practice the same deep ujjayi breathing, where you're going to inhale through the nose and then constrict the throat and exhale with control. You're not, people breathe like that, they're like, and there's not control there, and that stimulates a lot of the stress pathways to become active, the sympathetic nervous system. So the more you control your breath, the more you're activating the parasympathetic. I talk about this in The Art of Stress-Free Living. You can get a link below. And in that book, I talk about this parasympathetic and sympathetic and how you can bring those into balance. Neither is wrong. They're both extremely useful, as is stress. But if we don't put it in control, then forget about it. So then during supper time is when you're going to have your supplemental meal. Not going to overdo it. It's a light, small meal. A soup, a salad, depends on where you live. And I mentioned that in one of those previous videos, part 2 or 3, I forget. And I think it's part 2. And so you want to consider where you live, and you want to make sure that that food is balanced. Don't stack cold over cold, warm over warm, depending on where you live. If it's summertime, like here in Miami, and you don't want to stack hot on top of hot on top of hot, it's going to really burn you out and cause inflammation, other issues. And then avoid eating. You want to make sure, you want to try for that supper to be closer to the 6 p.m. time window than closer to the 10 p.m. Avoid foods after 8 p.m. if you at all possible. If you do need to eat something, especially at the beginning, if you're getting used to this, then have some warm milk, some tea, some water. Try to avoid eating something heavy. If at all you have to, like I suggest in The Art of Stress-Free Living in my chapter on sleep, have some cherries. Those are very good for helping with sleep. So something light like that. That will help you. And if you get the Art of Stress-Free Living book, in that sleep section, I suggest some things that you can do here. I think I even suggest as well a smoothie recipe. A little mix that you can make that's very good. All right, and I think that's it. I think I've covered everything. So remember, be disciplined, be consistent. Don't take no for an answer. Your mind is very fickle. When you say you're going to wake up, whether it's at 4 or 5 or 6 a.m., you're working, depending on your schedule, whenever you get to work, make sure that when you wake up, whether you need an alarm or not, then you get up and you just do it. Be like Nike, just do it. Don't vacillate, don't hesitate, and start letting your mind chatter and convince you to do otherwise. Start taking care of yourself and do these things. Start loving, honoring, and respecting yourself and living with the rhythms of nature that are built within you. And later in the future, I will be talking about how to do that with the cosmos, cosmological cycles that the ancients were aware of, and they knew how to bring that, to bring heaven on earth. And they left traces of this scattered throughout the globe. And so learning how to integrate that brings another huge dimension to your practice and to your meditation practice as well. That will expand your consciousness, evolve your being, evolve you as a spirit, accelerate your evolution, and do a number of great things that I discuss in Voyage from Human to God, which I'm still looking for more people for my book launch team. I have about close to 30 or so, around 30 people, but I'm looking for more people for that book launch team, where you can get an advanced reader copy of a spectacular book with a foreword from a yoga legend, Sri Dharma Mitra. If you don't know them, Google Dharma Yoga Center. You'll find him. He's in New York City. He's been around for decades, and he did me the great honor of writing a foreword for that book. And it's just a testament of the quality of this book, and what it really offers is unique, unlike anything that's been written before, and I think you'll enjoy it. And so some of the future work that I'll be doing will be driving towards that direction, because first I want to heal body, consciousness, heal the mind, so that then the spirit is free to do the inner research and discover who it really is, so that you can discover who you really are, to discover the true self God and understand what that really means, to experience it directly. But to do that, you must get rid of all the obstacles that are in the way right now, and your health, and both mental and physical and spiritual are a key component to that. Okay, so I hope you have a beautiful day and have a great time. All right, take care. I send you lots of love.